It's the 9th of July 2024 and two world blitz champions just collided. The current Magnus Carlsen and the future Hans Niemann. This is the final round of Title Tuesday. The winner of this game takes all the marbles. Really serious match. Both players taking it so. Magnus warmed up with a little jog to get the blood pumping. Thankfully his father Henrik Carlsen was on hand to keep him cool, and Hans Niemann warmed up by screaming into the mic for 3 minutes. Both players sit down, blood pumping. Hans kicks off here with the white pieces, pawn to e4, and you know Magnus is taking this seriously when he doesn't play any of the wacky opening moves I'm drawing on the board that we've seen him play before. Instead, what does he play? Pawn to e5, solid as a rock. Hans goes knight f3, knight c6 from Magnus. We get a Gucci Reza game on the board, and Magnus develops the second knight. He does as so many of the top players do when they bring both horses out into the game. d3 played, and h6. No bishop g5 for you, sir. c3 from Hans Niemann. He says that's cool. I'll take some central space, dominate your knight on c6, and now does Magnus go for something aggressive? No, he goes pawn d6, building a solid connect 3. He does not want to get mated, no shenanigans, he wants to beat this guy, right? a4 from Hans, he gains the space. Is Magnus going to shut it down? No, he goes bishop e7, a5, Hans carries on, and now a6 feels automatic to me. Does Magnus play it? No. Castles the king, allows a6, does a come at me bro, goes b6 in response, and we got some Swiss cheese on the light squares there. Fascinating position already. Hans castles the king. You often see the top players do a king safety fist bump, explode it, but these guys don't. No love lost between them, right, because of the history, and Magnus carries on with bishop e6. That one on c4 is a menace. Let's exchange it off. Hans takes on e6 here, saddles Magnus with the double e's, but he gets some f-file pressure and compensation. Knight b to d2. What could be more natural? It's like sage and onion. Queen d7 from Magnus, connecting the cannons, rook e1, and now here Magnus starts with rook a d8, hinting at d5 one day maybe. Excuse me, losing my voice. And after this move from Hans of knight f1, all a bit cat and mouse, Magnus now goes rook f7. d5 is actually playable in some lines, sacrificing a pawn, going for knight g4 stuff, bishop d6, f-file pressure, compensation. But Magnus going for the double stack here. We see h3 played and rook d to f8. He's switching plans, going for the f-file pressure. Hans goes knight g3, and now the game starts getting weird because Magnus doesn't go for a king attack. He switches back with queen to c8, starts targeting this pawn. Now d4 looking so natural to me, but not played at this moment by Hans. He carries on with bishop to e3 here, and things get awkward. Magnus goes knight d7, given the question mark by the computer. You know, he's sending all his pieces in the queen side direction, ceding the central play, and queen a4 is an excellent move. Just to quickly show you this one, knight's under fire. How do you protect it? No queen b7, no queen d7. Something like this is needed. Ain't no party like a back rank party. Not one you want to be having right now. White in the driver's seat, but missed. Hans instead plays d4 for the score. Very natural, of course. White's moved all the pieces away, or black rather. You take the centre, but after captures, pawn recaptures is not necessarily the most precise, but it works out well because Magnus now really goes after this pawn with this move of knight d to b8. That's just transferred all the way from f6. I mean, that's more awkward than a Ding Liren interview.
All right, thank you so much and good luck for tomorrow. All right, Ding. Thanks so much. That was a tough game, and see you soon.
And Niemann has this very powerful move, ignore the pressure on the pawn and go d5. This one's really running out of squares. It's got e5, b4, doesn't matter where you go. The point is mainly that you've cleared the d4 square, and e6 is as sensitive as a burnt armpit. That knight's on the way home. So this was the way to go, d5, but missed by Hans. He goes queen e2, responding to Magnus's threat. There's something a bit ugly about the way his pieces are stacked on the e-file. You know, pieces want to breathe and have room and have life, not be in a traffic jam. And now Magnus, he pounces, plays the correct move. There's only one, and it's knight to b4. Very well done if you found that concept. It targets a6, but more importantly, it liberates the black position. c5 is on the way. Hans now goes rook e to c1, pressuring that pawn, and bang, the c pawn advances down the board here. Magnus taking the fight to Hans Niemann, centre under fire. Currently a pin, but that's going to be dealt with. Now we see e5 in response. It's hotting up, it's tense. We see d5 from Magnus, and what a pawn structure. This knight on g3 crying its eyes out. Where's it hopping to? Sure, you can sideline, but not ideal. Now we see takes on c5 and pawn recaptures. Look at the central armada coming down the board, and the problem with when d4 comes is the bishop's dislodged, and then there's huge pressure on f2. Now one of the top ways to play here, I love this, is rook a4. Prepare to sack the exchange, distract the pawn just to gain control over the d4 square, stop d4. But okay, missed. Niemann starts with knight d4, using the pin, but simply queen d7, and what to do? Your knight now has to move. Best move of Stonkfish is to come back to f3 with the knight, but instead we see knight c2. Ugly. Stockfish poops its pants over here, as you can see. Magnus has now got this move of pawn d4. He's entered the enemy territory. Bishop under fire. Hans pins for the win, but Magnus now goes into the tank here, the mental tank, not the fish tank or the military tank. He goes into the zone here, his brain expanding as it does when he's calculating, and he finds this move of knight to d5. It's excellent. Please excuse my voice, losing it a bit tonight. This now renews the threat of taking the bishop, so it has to drop back to d2. But what does Magnus do? Pounces on the weakness of the last move and crashes through on f2 with all the panache of a reigning world blitz champion. The queen under fire. It has to move. Yes, you can give up for two rooks here, but then this bishop attacks on the dark squares. The queen joins the party. Is a devastating attack, especially supported by these ones. So instead we see queen g4, Niemann going in for the kill here. Magnus sidesteps, given a miss because Stonkfish wants to go knight c6, allow bishop takes on h6. Crazy ninja stuff, no human plays that. Hans now goes knight h5, and he's getting excited. He's one move away from checkmating Magnus Carlsen here, and would you believe it? Magnus does not pick up his knight, he moves the bishop. He blocks the checkmate. He's world number one after all. And now the top move, apparently, according to Stock Squid, is knight a3, heading into c4 and supporting this and blah blah blah. But okay, missed. Niemann goes for pawn to b4, trying to break up this ominous duo. Magnus now re-enters the game with this knight that went on this horrendous journey. Let's be honest, finally it meets a more sensible square. Niemann captures a pawn here, and Magnus captures this pawn. The whole board is exploding. Such an exciting game. I was watching it live. Niemann takes here on d4, and suddenly, ignore the bar right now, I was thinking, wow, there's a lot going on here. The knight's hanging, there's x-ray pressure here, bishop down here, whoops, misfire. And then you've got this knight hovering in the vicinity. Anything could happen. Now there is this crazy move of rook takes on g2, with the follow-up point being you then go queen c6 to set up this x-ray and crazy knight hops. Beautiful stuff. But bishop c7 played by Magnus, way more logical of course. Cover the knight, come onto the long diagonal. Niemann now goes queen e4, maybe vacating d4 for the knight. You open up the rook, etc. Okay, they're playing on seconds here. And Magnus now slides across with queen to f7, pressures the knight, creates the triple stack on the f-file. Burger King would be proud. And now after knight g3, that one saving itself, Magnus finds an excellent attacking move. There are many good moves here, but the one he plays is knight f3 check. What an idea. If this rook is captured, the knight is captured by the way, so we'll go down that line soon. But if the rook's captured, we've gone to the back cave here, well you've got this simple discovered check. And the knight is winning the queen's got no interception checks, squares. That's game over, right? So that wasn't played. King takes on f2. Instead, we see pawn captures. If the king had sidestepped, by the way, you're getting killed as well in a million different ways. So this was played. Magnus could take the knight, but an even better move, he plays rook takes on f3, and it's a devastating attack. The knight's about to drop. So Niemann saves it, but now the move of queen h5 is played. You'll see the bar react, it drops. It's not the favourite move, but it's still a good one. This is such a huge initiative. Queen g4 covers the pawn, offers an exchange of queens. Of course, Magnus is itching to swap the ladies, loves himself an endgame. Sorry, excuse me. He manages to resist, but he finds such a strong move. Instead of swapping them off, queen to e5. How about that for a switcheroo? It threatens a mate in one. Best move of the engine to cover h2 is queen g2 here. But then this rook can lift, slide to the g file, distract the queen, all sorts of nastiness. Instead, Hans goes for the interception on barely seconds, very natural. Magnus takes, it's given the brilliancy because you're hanging a rook here, but okay, not really. If it's taken, which it was, sorry, we're not going to go to the analysis mode. Then you've got this move, Magnus finds it, once again the check and discovered tactics. King g2 played, and Magnus, does he even take the queen? No, he's way classier than that. If you find a good move, look for a better one. Queen h2 check, love it. The king driven to the f-file, takes with check, king e1, and now can you find the checkmate in one if I give 99,000 seconds? Well done if you found the move of queen f2, check and mate. Hans Niemann burns at the hands of the World Blitz and Rapid Champion, world number 1. Very exciting game this one. And if you want to see the first time that these guys played entitled Tuesday after the whole scandal that kicked off, then have a look at the video on screen. One of my most high effort videos ever, right? I really hope you enjoy that one. Do smash subscribe if you love these kind of videos. Really helps me out, and I hope to see you again in a future one. Thanks very much for watching.